I was wrong. Ethan never loved me. He loved a ghost from his past, a woman who had shattered him, and I had been nothing more than a poor substitute, a reflection of someone else, never truly seen for who I was. I just didn't know it then. I met Ethan at a time in my life when I thought love had finally come knocking. He was charming, intensely passionate, and knew exactly how to make a woman feel desired. When he looked at me, it was with an intensity that made my breath hitch, like he saw something rare and precious. It wasn't long before we were inseparable. Hey you! Welcome to Cupidoops, where love and logic are officially divorced, and chaos has full custody. Like and subscribe. Chaos begins. I had no idea back then that the real reason he couldn't look away wasn't because he was mesmerized by me. It was because I reminded him of her. Olivia. I only learned the full truth much later, after the damage was already done. But if I had known then, would I have still fallen so recklessly in love? Would I have still let myself believe I was his one and only? Maybe. Maybe not. But what I do know is that Ethan was never mine. Not truly. Looking back, there were signs, small cracks in the foundation of our so-called love story. I remember how Ethan used to stare at old photographs, his gaze distant, lost in memories I wasn't a part of. How he would tense up whenever certain songs played on the radio. Songs I later realized had been theirs. How, on nights when he thought I was asleep, he would reach for his phone, staring at an old contact he never had the courage to delete. At the time, I brushed it off. I trusted him. I told myself that everyone has a past, and it didn't mean I wasn't his future. But the truth is, I was never meant to be his future. Our marriage was rushed. Ethan was so eager to marry me that I mistook it for passion, for love so intense he couldn't bear to wait. I was flattered, blinded by the fairy tale he painted. But the reality? He was running from the past that haunted him, running from the pain Olivia had left behind. And I was nothing more than a way to quiet his demons. On our wedding night, as I lay beside him, I whispered, "I love you." He kissed me in response, deep and desperate, but he never said it back. I told myself he was just not the kind of man who wore his heart on his sleeve. That he showed his love through actions, not words. But love should never feel like something you have to convince yourself of. It wasn't until Olivia came back into town that the truth became impossible to ignore. At first, it was subtle. Ethan becoming more distracted, his phone buzzing more often, his mind a million miles away even when we were in the same room. Then it got worse. He started coming home late, smelling of expensive perfume that wasn't mine. His touches became less frequent, his words colder, his patience thinner. And the way he looked at me? Like he had made a terrible mistake. Like he was realizing I was not her. That's when the sinking feeling began, the one that sat heavy in my chest, whispering that something was very, very wrong. So one night, when he stepped out to take a call, I followed. I pressed my ear against the door and listened, my pulse racing. I didn't want to be the kind of woman who spied on her husband. But I also didn't want to be the kind of woman who was blind to the truth. Then I heard her voice. "Olivia. I missed you," she purred, her voice smooth and sultry. "I miss you too," Ethan admitted, and I stopped breathing. Miss? As in past tense? I felt my stomach drop as I clutched the doorframe for support. "We shouldn't be doing this," he continued, but even through the phone, I could hear the longing in his voice. And then she laughed. "Come on, Ethan. You and I both know she was just a replacement." A replacement. I staggered back, nausea curling in my stomach. And for the first time in our marriage, I saw the truth for what it was. I wasn't his wife. I was his second choice. I was his Olivia 2.0. I didn't confront him right away. I wanted to believe that maybe, just maybe, I was wrong, that I had misunderstood. But when I looked in the mirror that night, I didn't see a wife anymore. I saw a woman who had been lied to. And once you see the truth, you can't unsee it. It all changed when Olivia made her presence known. She started showing up at events Ethan and I attended, her eyes flickering to him, smirking like she knew a secret I didn't. She started calling at odd hours, and Ethan never silenced his phone anymore. He wanted me to know. He wanted me to understand without him having to say it out loud. And then, one night, as I was lying in bed, my phone rang. It was Ethan. My heart leaped with hope. Maybe he was finally realizing what he was doing. Maybe he was calling to apologize. I answered, my voice shaking. "Ethan." But the voice on the other end wasn't his. It was hers. "Ethan's busy right now," Olivia said, her voice dripping with amusement. "Don't be a clingy wife." And then she hung up. I stared at my phone, my hands trembling, my breath coming out in short gasps. I tried calling again. This time Ethan picked up. And when he spoke, his voice was full of irritation and anger. "Eliana, stop ruining my night. I'm on a date. Leave me the hell alone." A date. My husband was on a date with another woman. And in that moment, something inside me shattered. I sat there frozen, the phone still pressed to my ear long after the call had ended. My husband's voice, his cruel, heartless words, echoed over and over in my mind. "I'm on a date. Leave me the hell alone." A date. A wave of nausea rolled through me, but it had nothing to do with morning sickness. No, this was different. This was betrayal so deep it made my stomach churn. I sucked in a breath, my body trembling from the pain. Not just the emotional agony, but something far worse. A sharp, tearing sensation gripped my lower abdomen, and I let out a strangled gasp. I doubled over, clutching my stomach, my breaths coming in quick, panicked bursts. Something was wrong. My hands fumbled for my phone, desperate, shaking. I had no one else to call but him. The man who should have been here. The man who should have loved me. With unsteady fingers, I redialed Ethan's number. It rang once. Twice. My body curled forward as the pain twisted deep within me. "Please pick up. Please, Ethan." The call connected. Relief surged through me for a split second, until I heard her voice again. "God, Eliana. You're so pathetic." Olivia's laughter rang in my ear, cold and taunting. "Take a hint. Ethan doesn't want you. He's with me now. I mean, did you really think a baby would keep him?" A baby. She knew. I gasped, my vision blurring as my worst fear came true. He told her. He told her I was pregnant, and still, he chose to humiliate me. "Please put Ethan on the phone." My voice cracked, barely above a whisper. "It's urgent. I'm in pain." "Ugh, so dramatic," she scoffed. "God, you're such a burden." Click. She hung up. I stared at the phone in disbelief, my fingers clenching around it. My body swayed, another wave of pain crashing through me. A sharp cry escaped my lips as I felt something warm trickle between my legs. No. No, no, no. Not my baby. Desperation surged through me as I hit redial, my heart pounding. The phone rang again, and this time Ethan answered. "I swear to God, Eliana." His voice was furious, laced with pure annoyance. "What the hell is wrong with you? Are you that desperate for attention? I told you I was on a date." "Ethan, please." I sobbed, gasping as another sharp pain shot through me. "Something's wrong, I'm bleeding." Silence. For a second, I thought I had imagined it. That maybe, just maybe, hearing that would shake him, would bring back the man who once promised to cherish me. But when he finally spoke, his words ripped me apart. "Jesus Christ, Eliana." A deep sigh. "Why are you always ruining everything?" I stopped breathing. Ruining. Everything. I heard laughter in the background. Olivia's laughter. And then, just before he ended the call, I heard him mutter, "I should have never married you." Click. The phone slipped from my hand, hitting the cold floor with a small, hollow thud. My body went completely numb, except for the searing pain in my stomach. A sob racked through me, and I collapsed onto the floor, curling into myself as a fresh wave of agony racked my body. I didn't know how long I lay there, drowning in pain, both from my body and from my shattered heart. My breathing was shallow, my vision tunneling. I had to call someone. Anyone. My shaking fingers found the phone again. Not Ethan. Never again. I scrolled, my vision swimming, until I saw the name, Grace. My best friend. I hit the call button. "Eliana? Hey, what's up? It's late." I tried to speak, but another sharp pain stole my breath. A choked sob escaped instead. "Eliana." Her voice sharpened with concern. "Are you okay? Where are you?" I gripped the phone tighter, forcing the words out through ragged breaths. "Grace. I think I'm losing my baby." Silence. Then a flurry of movement. "I'm coming. Stay awake, okay? Stay with me." The call ended, and I let the phone slip from my fingers once more. My body felt heavier by the second. Cold. Weak. And yet, my mind kept replaying his words. "I should have never married you. I should have never believed in him." Tears streamed down my face as I cradled my stomach, whispering the only prayer I could manage. "Please don't leave me too." I never thought a single night could change my life so completely. But that night I lost everything. The agony was unbearable, a sharp, twisting pain in my abdomen that felt like my body was punishing me. I barely remember the hands that lifted me, the desperate shouts of the servants as they rushed me to the hospital. My vision blurred, my limbs felt weak, and then darkness. I don't remember how I got to the hospital. One moment, I was clutching my stomach, the searing pain ripping through me as I lay curled up on the cold, tiled floor. When I woke up, the sterile white ceiling of the hospital greeted me. A nurse whispered my name gently, her voice full of pity. It took me a moment to process where I was. Then it hit me. My hands shot to my stomach, panic rising in my throat. The baby, my baby? My voice was hoarse, weak. The nurse looked away, unable to meet my gaze. The silence was suffocating, a confirmation more painful than any words could have been. I'm so sorry, Ms. Eliana, but we couldn't save the baby. I stared at her, my mind refusing to process what she had just said. My baby was gone? The tiny life I had carried, nurtured, and whispered to late at night when Ethan was asleep. My hand instinctively moved to my stomach, but it felt hollow. Tears slipped from my eyes, hot and unstoppable. My body shook violently, my sobs muffled by the pillow they had given me. The pain of the miscarriage was nothing compared to the agony tearing apart my heart. And where was Ethan? Was he frantically rushing to my side? Holding my hand, telling me it would be okay? No. He was nowhere to be found. He had chosen her over me. Again. Meanwhile, Ethan was at a rooftop restaurant, the glow of city lights reflecting in his wine glass as Olivia laughed beside him. The world around him was perfect, at least in that moment. I can't believe you actually married her, Olivia mused, swirling the red liquid in her glass. I mean, she's pretty sure, but not your type. Ethan exhaled sharply. It was complicated. I thought I could move on. He didn't tell Olivia the real reason. How Eliana had been a substitute, a desperate attempt to fill the void Olivia had left when she chose someone else. But you never really did you? Olivia smiled, leaning closer. You still love me. Ethan didn't answer. Instead, he clinked his glass against hers, a silent agreement. He had convinced himself that this was what he wanted, to reclaim the love he had lost. He had no idea that, just miles away, his wife was lying in a hospital bed, mourning the child he never even got to meet. The house was eerily silent when Ethan finally returned home. The dim glow from a single lamp cast shadows along the walls. He tossed his keys onto the counter and glanced at his phone. 5 missed call, unknown number. 2 new message, Mercy General Hospital. Frowning, he clicked on the message. Your wife has been admitted. Please contact us immediately. His heart stopped. The moment felt surreal, like he had been thrown into a nightmare he wasn't prepared for. He hurriedly grabbed his coat and rushed back out. By the time he arrived at the hospital, visiting hours were over, but the nurse at the front desk took one look at him and sighed. Your wife is in room 306. She's been waiting for you. Her words sent a strange pang through him, but he pushed it aside and made his way to the room. The door creaked open, revealing Eliana sitting up in bed, her face pale, her eyes swollen from crying. For the first time in years, Ethan hesitated. She turned her head slowly, her gaze locking onto his. A hollow laugh escaped her lips. You actually came. He stepped inside, guilt creeping up his spine. Eliana, Don't, she whispered, voice raw. Don't you dare stand there and pretend to care. He stiffened. What happened? Her expression crumbled. Her fingers clutched the thin hospital blanket as she let out a shaky breath. I lost the baby, Ethan. Our baby. The silence was deafening. Ethan stared at her, his jaw tightening, his hands curling into fists. A war waged inside him, one he didn't want to acknowledge. He should be devastated. He should fall to his knees and grieve with her. But instead, his lips parted, and the words that fell out of his mouth shattered her completely. Maybe this was for the best. Eliana flinched as if he had slapped her. What? His face was unreadable. We weren't ready. Maybe this was fate. A single tear slid down her cheek. The man she had loved, the father of the child she had just lost, was standing in front of her and treating it like an inconvenience. Something inside her broke. Ethan had already chosen Olivia over her. But this moment? This was when she finally chose herself. She wiped her tears away and let out a bitter laugh. You're right, Ethan. Maybe this was for the best. Because now, I see exactly what kind of man I married. And just like that, something between them died, never to return. The days after my miscarriage felt like a blur of pain and emptiness. The walls of our home, once filled with my naive hope, now felt like a suffocating cage. Ethan never once uttered the words I longed to hear. An apology, an ounce of regret, any sign that he had even processed what had happened. Instead, he became more distant, spending more nights away, drowning himself in Olivia's presence while I was left to grieve alone. I would wake up in the middle of the night, reaching for my stomach only to remember there was nothing left to protect. My child was gone, taken away by stress, by pain, by him. One evening, as I sat in our bedroom, A box tucked away at the back of the closet caught my eye. I wasn't even sure what made me reach for it, but when I opened it, my breath hitched. Letters. Old, yellowed, but well-kept love letters. Photographs, too, of Olivia and Ethan, smiling happy. Some of them were from years ago, but others? Others were recent, hidden away like precious treasures. My hands trembled as I flipped through them, realization hitting me with every written word, every captured moment. I had never been his first choice. I was just a substitute, a placeholder for the woman who had once crushed him, yet still owned his heart. A strangled laugh left my lips. How blind had I been? How foolish? How many nights had I prayed, thinking love was something I could earn from him if I just tried hard enough? That night, something inside me shifted. With steady hands, I pulled out the divorce papers I had once shoved into a drawer, too afraid to face. Now the hesitation was gone. There was nothing left to salvage, no reason to keep fighting for a marriage that had only existed in my imagination. I signed my name at the bottom, sealing the end of my suffering. Then, I placed the papers on the dining table, right where Ethan would see them. A part of me wished he wouldn't even care. That way, I could walk away with no more pain. But another part, the broken, shattered part, wanted him to at least hesitate. To look me in the eyes and acknowledge that I had mattered. When he came home that night, the smell of perfume, her perfume, clung to his clothes. He barely looked at me as he tossed his keys onto the counter. Then his gaze landed on the papers. He froze. Eliana, his voice was low, uncertain. What is this? I stepped forward, my voice steadier than I felt. It's what you wanted all along, isn't it? His brows furrowed, his fingers gripping the papers. You're leaving. I let out a slow breath. I already lost my child because of you, Ethan. I won't lose myself too. For the first time in a long time, I saw something flicker across his face. Not love, not regret, but something close to disbelief. As if he had never imagined this outcome. As if, in his selfishness, he had believed I would always stay, always endure. Before he could say anything else, Olivia stepped through the doorway, a smug smile playing on her lips. So it's finally happening, she said, folding her arms. Guess I finally won. I turned to her, expecting anger to rise, but there was nothing left to feel. No jealousy. No pain. Just a strange, eerie sense of peace. I smiled. Not bitterly. Not sadly. Just knowingly. You think you've won? I whispered, tilting my head. I don't think you understand, Olivia. You're just inheriting the mess I'm leaving behind. Her smile faltered just slightly. Ethan opened his mouth, but no words came out. Maybe for the first time, he realized that the game was over. A week later, the divorce was finalized. He let it happen. Maybe he thought I'd break down. Maybe he thought I'd come crawling back. But as I walked out of that courtroom, free from the chains of a loveless marriage, I realized something. The real victory was mine. At first, Ethan thought life would be perfect now that I was gone. He had Olivia, the woman he claimed to love, the one he had chosen over me, over our unborn child. He had won, so why did it feel so empty? It didn't take long for Olivia to show her true colors. She was never in love with him. She had only wanted to win. The thrill of taking him back from me was exciting, but now that I was out of the picture, she was bored. Ethan didn't notice at first. He was still under the illusion that they were rekindling their great love story. He planned a romantic getaway for the two of them, eager to finally focus on their future. But when he excitedly told Olivia about it over dinner, she burst out laughing in his face. Ethan, she scoffed, swirling her wine. Do you really think I want something serious with you? That I gave up everything just for you? Don't be so naive. His stomach dropped. What do you mean? She smirked, leaning forward. I never gave up anything. You did. You gave up your wife. Your home. Your child. All for what? For me. She laughed again, a cruel, hollow sound. You were just a fun little challenge. Ethan's hands curled into fists. His chest tightened with something he hadn't felt in years, regret. Real, suffocating regret. But that wasn't even the worst of it. One evening, he discovered the ugliest truth of all. He was at his office when a call came in. It was a loan collector. Mr. Ethan Carter. The voice was sharp. We need to discuss the large sum borrowed under your name. The payments are overdue. His blood ran cold. What? I never. Then it hit him. Olivia. Rushing home, Ethan searched through her belongings, his heart pounding. And there it was, bank statements, gambling debts, receipts for expensive nights out. Olivia had used his name to take out money from loaners. She had been gambling away thousands behind his back. When she walked in later that night, he confronted her, his voice shaking with fury. She just shrugged. Well, what did you expect? I had to keep myself entertained somehow. That was the night Ethan realized. He had lost everything. He had chosen Olivia over the woman who loved him unconditionally. He had abandoned his wife while she miscarried their child, only to end up with someone who never truly wanted him. But now Eliana was gone. And for the first time since she left, he understood what real loss felt like. The night was cold, eerily silent except for the rhythmic ticking of the clock on Ethan's wall. He sat alone in his penthouse, a half-empty bottle of whiskey clutched in his trembling hands. The amber liquid burned his throat, but the pain was nothing compared to the storm raging inside him. His eyes, bloodshot and weary, fixated on the divorce decree lying on the coffee table, signed, sealed, and finalized. It had been 7 months since Eliana walked away. 7 months since she packed her bags, leaving behind nothing but memories he once took for granted. At first, he didn't care. Or rather, he told himself he didn't. He convinced himself that he was free. Free to be with Olivia, free from a marriage he never truly valued. But now, with Olivia gone, leaving nothing but a pile of debt and humiliation in her wake, the reality was setting in. He had lost Eliana. He leaned back against the couch, running a hand through his disheveled hair. His mind replayed every moment. The way Eliana used to wait up for him, even when he came home late without an explanation. The way she cooked his favorite meals, even when he barely acknowledged them. The way she smiled, even when he gave her nothing but heartache. She had loved him truly and deeply. And he had destroyed her. Ethan exhaled shakily, the weight of regret pressing down on his chest like a ton of bricks. With unsteady hands, he grabbed his phone, scrolling through his contacts until he found her name, Eliana. He hesitated, his thumb hovering over the call button. Would she even answer? Did she still hate him? Or worse, had she completely moved on? Summoning what little courage he had left, he pressed call. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times. Then it went to voicemail. His heart sank. Frustration bubbled inside him as he tossed his phone onto the couch. He needed to see her. He had to see her. The next evening, Ethan found himself sitting in his car outside an upscale restaurant. He had heard from a mutual friend that Eliana had started going out more, embracing a new life without him. The thought made his stomach twist with an emotion he barely recognized, jealousy. His grip on the steering wheel tightened as he spotted her through the window. She looked happy. Radiant, even. She was laughing at something the man sitting across from her said, her eyes sparkling in a way he hadn't seen in a long time. Ethan clenched his jaw. Who was this man? Had she already moved on? The idea of another man making her smile, ***, a smile that used to belong to him, ***, felt like a dagger to the heart. Before he knew it, he was out of the car, marching towards the restaurant. He had no plan, no rational thoughts, only the desperate, gnawing need to see her up close, to make sense of the unfamiliar ache in his chest. Eliana. His voice came out hoarse as he stopped at her table. The conversation around them hushed. Her smile faltered for a split second before she composed herself. She looked up at him with unreadable eyes, her posture poised and confident. Ethan, she said evenly, as if his presence meant nothing. As if he was just another stranger. That hurt more than he expected. Can we talk? He asked, ignoring the curious stare of the man beside her. Please. She exhaled softly, then turned to her date with an apologetic smile. Give me a moment? The man nodded politely, and she rose from her seat, leading Ethan a few steps away. What do you want? She asked, crossing her arms. There was no anger in her voice, no bitterness, just exhaustion, as if she had long since drained herself of emotions for him. Ethan hesitated, swallowing the lump in his throat. I miss you. Eliana blinked, then let out a soft, humorless laugh. You miss me? I do, he admitted, his voice cracking slightly. I was a fool, Eliana. I made a mistake. Olivia. She was never what I thought she was. She used me. She never loved me. Not like you did. A sad smile graced Eliana's lips, but it didn't reach her eyes. And you realized that after you threw away our marriage? Ethan reached for her hand, but she took a step back. His chest tightened. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. But please just give me one more chance. Let's start over. Eliana studied him for a long moment, then shook her head. No, Ethan. His heart plummeted. Eliana. I gave you everything, she interrupted softly. I loved you even when you didn't love me back. I forgave you even when you didn't deserve it. But I won't make the same mistake again. Ethan felt something inside him crumble. This was it. This was truly the end. Eliana, he whispered, a plea laced in his tone. She took a deep breath, as if releasing something heavy. Then, with one last glance at him, she turned back towards the restaurant, towards the man waiting for her. And as Ethan stood there, watching her walk away, he realized the painful truth. The biggest mistake of his life was losing me. I never thought this day would come, the day Ethan Lancaster would stand before me, broken, desperate, and pleading for another chance. But here he was, the man who once dismissed my pain with cold indifference, who tossed away our marriage like it was nothing more than a failed business transaction, was now looking at me like I was the last breath of air he needed to survive. Eliana, please. His voice was hoarse, almost unrecognizable. I was wrong. About everything. Give me a chance to fix this. I stared at him, trying to feel something, anger, resentment, even pity. But all I felt was nothing. The love I once had for him, the love that had consumed every fiber of my being, had died the night I lost my child. The night he screamed at me for ruining his date, while I was writhing in pain, bleeding, and losing the only innocent soul that had tied me to him. My heart didn't ache for him anymore. Not the way it used to. Why now, Ethan? My voice was calm, eerily calm. Why do you suddenly care? His jaw clenched, and he ran a hand through his disheveled hair. Because I was a fool, he admitted, his voice thick with regret. I married you because I thought you reminded me of Olivia. But you were more than that. So much more. I let out a quiet laugh, shaking my head. More? Ethan, I was your wife. I gave you everything. My love. My trust. My loyalty. And you treated me like a substitute, a shadow of a woman who never loved you. I know, he whispered, stepping closer. And I hate myself for it. His eyes were desperate, searching mine for something, anything, that would give him hope. I was scared, Eliana. Scared of how much you meant to me. I pushed you away because No, I cut him off, my voice firm. You weren't scared. You were selfish. His lips parted, but no words came out. He knew I was right. I let out a breath and took a step back. Do you know how many nights I stayed up waiting for you? How many times I hoped, prayed, that maybe you'd see me, that you'd love me even half as much as I loved you. My voice wavered, but I steadied myself. But you never did. And by the time I realized I was nothing more than a placeholder in your heart, it was already too late. His eyes shone with something raw, something painful. I did love you, Eliana. I shook my head. No, Ethan. You loved the idea of me. But love doesn't look like what you put me through. Silence stretched between us, thick with the weight of unspoken words. He looked lost, like a man drowning in the consequences of his own choices. But I wasn't his lifeline anymore. I refused to be. I took a deep breath and squared my shoulders. I loved you, Ethan. The confession felt like a final nail in the coffin of what we once were. But now I love myself more. His face crumpled, and for the first time, I saw it, the realization that he had truly lost me. That there were no second chances, no rewinds, no fixing what was already shattered beyond repair. Tears burned at the back of my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. I refused to give him that power over me ever again. I turned away, walking past him, feeling lighter with every step. Eliana. His voice cracked, one last plea, one last attempt to hold on to something that no longer belonged to him. I didn't stop. I didn't look back. For the first time in a long time, I was walking away from Ethan, and I wasn't just leaving him behind. I was finally setting myself free. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more stories. What would you have done in Eliana's place? Comment below.